1. Aberrant. Adjective. Markedly different from an accepted norm. Example. When the financial director started screaming and throwing food at his coworkers, the police had to come in to deal with his aberrant behavior. 2. Aberration. Noun. A deviation from what is normal or expected. Example. Aberrations in climate have become the norm, rarely a week goes by without some meteorological phenomenon making headlines. 3. Abstain. Verb. Choose not to consume or take part in, particularly something enjoyable. Example. Considered a health nut, Jessica abstained from anything containing sugar, even chocolate. 4. Abstruse. Adjective. Difficult to understand, incomprehensible. Example. Physics textbooks can seem so abstruse to the uninitiated that readers feel as though they are looking at hieroglyphics. 5. Adamant. Adjective. Refusing to change one's mind. Example. Civil rights icon Rosa Parks will forever be remembered for adamantly refusing to give up her seat on a public bus even after the bus driver insisted. She remained rooted in place. 6. Admonish. Verb. To warn strongly, even to the point of reprimanding. Example. Before the concert began, security personnel admonished the crowd not to come up on stage during the performance. 7. Admonitory. Adjective. Serving to warn, expressing reproof or reproach especially as a corrective. Example. At the assembly, the high school vice principal gave the students an admonitory speech, warning them of the many risks and dangers of prom night. 8. Aesthete. Noun. One who professes great sensitivity to the beauty of art and nature. Example. A true aesthete, Marty would spend hours at the Guggenheim Museum, staring at the same Picasso. 9. Aesthetic. Adjective. Concerned with the appreciation of beauty. Example. The director, not known for his aesthetic sensibilities, decided not to use costumes at all, and put on the play in everyday clothing. 10. Aesthetic. Noun. A set of principles underlying and guiding the work of a particular artist or artistic movement. Example. The artist operated according to a peculiar aesthetic, not considering any photograph to be worth publishing unless it contained a marine mammal. 11. Amalgam. Noun. A mixture of multiple things. Example. The band's music was an amalgam of hip-hop, flamenco and jazz, blending the three styles with surprising results. 12. Ambiguous. Adjective. Open to more than one interpretation. Example. The coach told his team, move towards that side of the field, because he did not point, his directions were ambiguous, and the team had no idea to which side he was referring. 13. Ambivalent. Adjective. Mixed or conflicting emotions about something. Example. Sam was ambivalent about studying for the exam because doing so ate up a lot of his time, yet he was able to improve his analytical skills. 14. Ameliorate. Verb. Make something bad better. Example. 3 Cups of Tea tells the story of Western man who hopes to ameliorate poverty and the lack of education in Afghanistan. 15. Amenable. Adjective. Easily persuaded. Example. Even though she did not like the outdoors, Shirley was generally amenable and so her brother was able to persuade her to go camping. 16. Amorphous. Adjective. Shapeless. Example. His study plan for the GRE was at best amorphous, he would do questions from random pages in any one of 7 test prep books. 17. Anomalous. Adjective. Not normal. Example. According to those who do not believe in climate change, the extreme weather over the last 5 years is simply anomalous. Average temps should return to average, they believe. 18. Anomaly. Noun. Something that is not normal, standard, or expected. Example. After finding an anomaly in the data, she knew that she would have to conduct her experiment again. 19. Antipathy. Noun. An intense feeling of dislike or aversion. Example. Maria had an antipathy for tour groups, often bolting to the other side of the museum as soon as she saw a chaperone leading a group of wide-eyed tourists. 20. Antithetical. Adjective. Sharply contrasted in character or purpose. Example. His deep emotional involvement with these ideas is, in fact, antithetical to the disattachment Buddhism preaches. 21. Apathetic. Adjective. Marked by a lack of interest. Example. Mr. Thompson was so talented at teaching math that even normally apathetic students took interest. 22. Apathy. Noun. An absence of emotion or enthusiasm. Example. Widespread apathy among voters led to a very small turnout on election day. 23. Apocryphal. Adjective. Being of questionable authenticity. Example. The web is notorious for sandwiching apocryphal stories between actual news. 24. Appease. Verb. Pacify by acceding to the demands of. Example. Neville Chamberlain, the British Prime Minister during World War II, tried to appease Hitler and in doing so sent a clear message: you can walk all over us. 25. Arbitrary. Adjective. Based on a random, groundless decision. Example. One of the arbitrary decrees in place during the emperor's rule is that all citizens pay him weekly homage at his palace. This word has other definitions, but this is the most important one for the GRE. 26. Arcane. Adjective. Requiring secret or mysterious knowledge. Example. Most college fraternities are known for arcane rituals that those hoping to join the fraternity must learn. 27. Arduous. Adjective. Demanding considerable mental effort and skill, testing powers of endurance. Example. In order to deal with the arduous cross-country journey, truck drivers often survive on a string of caffeinated drinks, staying awake for up to 30 hours at a time. 28. Artful. Adjective. Exhibiting artistic skill. Example. Picasso is generally considered the most artful member of the Cubist movement. 29. Artful. Adjective. Clever in a cunning way. Example. Bernie Madoff's artful Ponzi scheme stole billions of dollars from investors and is considered the largest financial fraud in U.S. history. 30. Ascetic. Adjective. Practicing self-denial. Example. His ascetic life is the main reason he inspired so many followers, especially since he gave up wealth and power to live in poverty. 31. Ascetic. Noun. One who practices great self-denial. Example. Historically, ascetics like Gandhi are often considered wise men partially because of their restraint. 32. Askance. Adverb. With a look of suspicion or disapproval. Example. The old couple looked askance on the teenagers seated next to them, whispering to each other, they've got rings through their noses and purple hair. 33. Audacious. Adjective. Willing to be bold in social situations or to take risks. Example. As all of the other campers cowered in their tents, Bill, armed only with a flashlight, audaciously tracked down the bear that had raided their food. 34. Audacity. Noun. Aggressive boldness in social situations. Example. She surprised her colleagues by having the audacity to publicly criticize the findings of an distinguished scientist. 35. Auspicious. Adjective. Favorable, the opposite of sinister. Example. Despite an auspicious beginning, Mike's road trip became a series of mishaps, and he was soon stranded and penniless, leaning against his wrecked automobile. 36. Austere. Adjective. Practicing self-denial. Example. His lifestyle of revelry and luxurious excess could hardly be called austere. 37. Austere. Adjective. Unadorned in style or appearance. Example. Late Soviet architecture, although remaining largely austere, moved into experimental territory that employed previously unused shapes and structures. 38. Austere. Adjective. Harsh in manner of temperament. Example. The principal of my elementary school was a cold, austere woman. I could never understand why she chose to work with children. 39. Avaricious. Adjective. Excessively greedy. Example. Since avaricious desire is similar to gluttony or lust, sins of excess, it was listed as one of the 7 deadly sins by the Catholic Church. 40. Banal. Adjective. Repeated too often, overfamiliar through overuse. Example. The professor used such banal expression that many students in the class either fell asleep from boredom or stayed awake to complete his sentences and humor friends. 41. Banality. Noun. A trite or obvious remark. Example. Herbert regarded the minister's remark as a mere banality until Sharon pointed out profound implications to the seemingly obvious words. 42. Belie. Verb. To give a false representation, to misrepresent. Example. The smile on her face belies the pain she must feel after the death of her husband. 43. Belligerent. Adjective. Characteristic of one eager to fight. Example. Tom said that he was arguing the matter purely for philosophical reasons, but his belligerent tone indicated an underlying anger about the issue. 44. Betray. Verb. To reveal or make known something, usually unintentionally. Example. With the gold medal at stake, the gymnast awaited his turn, his quivering lip betraying his intense emotions. 45. Blatant. Adjective. Without any attempt at concealment, completely obvious. Example. Alan was often punished in school for blatantly disrespecting teachers. 46. Bolster. Verb. Support and strengthen. Example. The case for the suspect's innocence was bolstered considerably by the fact that neither fingerprints nor DNA were found at the scene. This word has other definitions, but this is the most important one for the GRE. 47. Brazen. Adjective. Unrestrained by convention or propriety. Example. Their large donations to the local police department gave the drug cartel the brazen confidence to do their business out in the open. 48. Bucolic. Adjective. Relating to the pleasant aspects of the country. Example. The noble families of England once owned vast expanses of beautiful, bucolic land. 49. Bumbling. Adjective. Lacking physical movement skills, especially with the hands. Example. Within a week of starting, the bumbling new waiter was unceremoniously fired. 50. Burgeon. Verb. Grow and flourish. Example. China's housing market is burgeoning, but some predict that the growth is merely a bubble and will burst much like the US real estate bubble of 2008.